Hello, my name is Justin Deaton, and this is my interpersonal communication project for my studies in interpersonal communication 508 class. Um, what we're going to be talking about in this video is kind of my overarching goal of what I want for my communication style, how my behavioral blend has influenced my goal, some background information about me, some barriers to my communication personally, and strategies to overcome these barriers. So, first, is my overarching goal is I want to be able to utilize conflict more effectively. It's not always something that should be seen as negative, and as we'll get into my um, behavioral blend, you can kind of see why I avoid conflict almost inherently. Um, to remain calm, my other goal is to remain calm and think before I speak, and I want to be able to do this more consistently, not just in work situations. I work as an intensive in-home therapist working with kids and adolescents with mental health disorders. So being calm in a lot of the situations I'm faced with on a daily basis is very important. It's a fundamental aspect of the job. But I want to be able to do it more consistently and in my personal life. So, yeah, Proverbs 16:32, better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. And the part I really hit on there is one with self-control. As we'll see more, that's very important to me, and I feel like a big part of who I am. So, and still part of the overarching goal, um, the behavioral blend SC type in the DISC score, Carbonell 2008. Um, the mature SC type looks something like has learned to control his personality, actively engages in conversations, is less opinionated but shares ideas, is careful to check his confrontational tone, and is more aggressive and assertive, which, as we'll talk about the ST type a little bit more, that's kind of the real kicker. The controlling his personality and being more aggressive and assertive for a type that's usually reserved and quiet. So my behavior blend is the SE type. The blend is characterized by being more passive and reserved, preferring to be more one-on-one as opposed to group situations, having a tendency to be more intimidated by more dominant types. That kind of has to do with high reactivity, being task-oriented, and avoiding confrontation unless absolutely necessary. Um, so for the biblical perspective on that type, I look to Titus 1:8. Rather, he must be hospitable, one who loves what is good, who is self-controlled, upright, holy, and disciplined. And I really hit more on like the being hospitable and who is self-controlled, upright. Um, the being hospitable kind of hits on the need for the avowed sense of identity from uh, maintaining a perspective, a perception. Um, we want other people to see us a certain way, and to do that, we have to maintain our self-control and so on. So a little background about me: I'm a middle child. I grew up in a small town. Went to a small Christian school from the time I was 6 weeks old till I graduated as a senior. Had mostly the same friends from pre-K to graduation. Moved to a new church in third grade, and I was like heavy extreme introvert at church because it was a new social situation, and I didn't really know how to handle myself with all these new people that I didn't know because I had known the same people since I was a baby, and those were my friends that I had grown up with. So I was only like a moderate introvert at school because while there were new people that comes into the classes as you get older, I still had that core group of three friends, Tyler, Eric, and Chris, that grew up with me, and I was always very comfortable with them. Still am. Still see them all pretty regularly. Um, I seemed to be more outgoing when I was young. I don't know what happened there, but that's what my mom reports. Um, I went through a long stage of introversion, like kind of what I was talking about from the time I was maybe 4 years old up until I still am kind of introverted. I've just kind of learned how to control that aspect of my personality a little bit more to meet a more functional need. I was a camp counselor in 2008. That's when the introversion, I really started learning the social skills to be more extroverted and form those social relationships with people I didn't know very well. Um, I was a camp counselor just because I thought it'd be fun. I didn't really think about the fact that I would be spending 3 months with people that I did not know, um, and had no contact with people I did know. It was the first time in my life I was ever put in an environment like that, and I realized I could either spend those 3 months just alone in a corner being depressed and lonely, or I could strike out and make some new friends. I know that sounds weird to think about for a 20-year-old having that revelation for the first time in his life, but that was pretty much it, and it was terrifying. I've worked in customer service since I was 16 years old, which that's a very specific skills that you learn in customer service. They don't really translate to every interaction you're going to have, but it's what really helped me learn to maintain calm when I'm faced with confrontation. If any of you have ever worked in customer service, I'm sure you can understand. And I work in mental health now, and working this job has really helped me learn to be more assertive with my coworkers, and I'm still learning to be effectively assertive with clients and families. It's a bit of a different dynamic there. It's still something I'm working on. That's why I want to learn how to utilize confrontation more effectively. Some communication barriers for me: I'm critical of myself and others. There's not too much to say about it. I fixate on what could be done differently or better for myself and others, and sometimes I fixate so much it almost becomes maladaptive, and I can't move on to think of something more productive. My listening behavior is largely advice response. Burley Allen, 1995, had that assessment. So when I hear things, problems with people, I typically want to give them advice, and that's not always the best thing to do. Followed by empathy and asking questions. Those tied for me. And even though I am critical of myself and others, I avoid the critical response. I may think it, but I still want to avoid that confrontation. Some more communication barriers. I'm high reactive, which is just a temperament aspect. It takes very little to get me stressed. And that kind of is one of the big things that I'm really having to work through and kind of building up that resiliency to it. To kind of take my time, slow down, calm down. James 1:19 and 20. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry, for the anger of man does not achieve the righteousness of God. It's definitely one that I have to remind myself of daily. So some strategies that I want to employ for the productive community conflicts is Stewart 2012 kind of outlined this very well. It gave some bullet points. So productive conflict depends on flexibility. Productive conflict believes that all parties can gain something. Productive conflict is still competitive but must strive for understanding, not for someone to win. Philippians 2:4, do not merely look out for your own personal interests, but also for the interests of others. That's so imperative. Steps to an argument. That's another great thing, Stewart 2012. Is the issue a current one? Can the issue be let go? Take a moment to consider if this is an appropriate time to bring up the issue. Remember that the goal of the argument is communication, not to win. That's such an important part of arguing in the conflict, is that we're striving to understand each other, not just win the argument. Be clear that the problem does not belong to your other party, but to the relationship between the two. That you're not blaming the other person for whatever problem it is. It has to do with the relationship. It's a shared issue. Proverbs 12:18, the words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing, like seeking to understand. Action plan. I want to meditate on these concepts daily. That's what I need. Philippians 4:8, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. I want to look for real-world applications to practice better conflict management. I need to not get discouraged. Like anything else, this is a process. 2 Chronicles 15:7, but as for you, be strong and do not give up, for your work will be rewarded. I need to set up accountability for my action plan to kind of help me go through this. In Ecclesiastes 4:9 and 10, two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either one of them falls down, one can help the other up, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. So my conclusion, throughout my life, I have slowly learned to control certain aspects of my personality. The main aspects I'm still working on are my high reactive temperament and my fear of confrontation. Utilizing strategies listed above, I plan to familiarize myself with the mechanics and productive conflict and make a point to engage in it more often. So, just a little quote from Jim Rohn: take advantage of every opportunity to practice your communication skills so that when important occasions arise, you will have the gift, the style, the sharpness, the clarity, and the emotions to affect other people. All right. Thank you guys for listening.